Blessed to be a part of your day. Kevin Miller in the morning, KIDO Talk Radio. Thank you all for joining us. Phone number is 580-5436, 580-KIDO. We're joined by Congressman Raul Labrador, the conservative champion of the Treasure Valley, the state of Idaho. We thank you for joining us, sir.
Hey, great to be on your show.
So, Congressman, what's going on in Washington? This is something that you've been passionate about since you've been elected, even before that here in the state of Idaho, this immigration issue. It seems like it's another meltdown. Is it more of the same, or is it something different this time?
No, it's more of the same, unfortunately. So we had a bill last week that was a conservative bill. It was the conservative solution that I had been working on for 2 years. It was the Good McCall Labrador bill. And that was our leadership said for 6 months that it couldn't get more than 160 votes, that they couldn't get enough people to vote for it. They never really worked it that hard, and we got 193 votes. And today they're going to put up a bill that is not a horrible bill, but it still doesn't do all the things that we needed to do on immigration. And it's probably going to get about 150 votes. And this is the one that they have been working on, that they have been pushing everybody to vote for. And my question has been to leadership over the last few weeks, actually over the last few days, why don't we just take the Good Life bill, the one that got 193 votes? We just need a few more votes. About 20 more votes gets us there. Let's use that one as the model for immigration reform. It's the one that conservatives want. It's the one that conservative groups are behind. So I think we're going to see today not a great vote, but I think it is helpful for the conference and for the nation to see where the Republican Party stands right now. And I think we can keep working. We still have more time after in the next couple of weeks. I think we can try again. And I think that's a positive thing here in Congress that we don't do very often, is actually put bills on the floor that are going to fail, just to make sure that we see where the kind of where the conference is and where the Congress is. How do we get to 218?
How does that? How is the sausage made? Most of us go, "Why can't Congress do this?" You've been there, you understand it. You've just explained to us the process. But do you meet in committees? Do you meet one-on-one with lawmakers? How do you construct a bill that you know will pass not only the House, but have a shot in the Senate and get the president to sign it?
Well, that's precisely the problem that we have here in Congress. So you look at the bill that got 193 votes last week. That was a bill that what we did is we cobbled together a bunch of separate bills that had already passed the House or had already passed the committee. We put them together into one bill, and we said, okay, this has been properly vetted. We have dealt with all these issues before in committee, and put them together as one bill to take it to the floor. That's the way legislation should be passed. You should let the committees vet, the committees do its work, and whatever the committees do, you should put it on the floor for an up or down vote and decide whether you can get a majority of the Congress to do it. The way leadership likes to do things here is they like to put a group together to negotiate, and they come up with legislation that doesn't get properly vetted in the committees. And I think that is a mistake, and it's something that is broken about Washington. It's something that I have talked about for 8 years, and it's something that needs to change here. The leadership of the Congress needs to trust the committees to do their work. It needs to allow the committees to put their bills on the floor, and the committees need to learn. Sometimes maybe what the committee wants is something that can't pass, but you don't really know who you need to talk to until you put it on the floor and you see who votes for it or against it. If you put it on the floor and you allow it to pass or to die, then you know that, hey, I only have to talk to 20 people. Or as leadership had been telling us for 6 months on our immigration bill, they kept telling us that we only had 160 to 165 votes. Well, we thought we had all this extra work that we needed to do. Now we know that there's 193 that voted yes. Can we get 20 or 23 more, 25 more to vote for it? And I think we can do that. And it's unfortunate the way Congress works. That's not the way a legislative body is supposed to work. The legislative body should be allowed to put things on the floor. That's how we do it in the Idaho House of Representatives when I was there, and it worked pretty well. Some things would fail on the floor. Some things would pass on the floor. and then you would have an opportunity to continue to work on legislation.
Congressman Raul Labrador joining us, 107.5 FM, 580 AM, KIDO Talk Radio. What do you make of some of the comments of, well, she is a member of Congress, Maxine Waters, and just the overall tone in Washington right now?
You know, the overall tone in Washington and in the nation is pretty horrible right now. And you see the media, they continue to pounce and pounce and pounce on Republicans. You see, you know, it seems like all the late night comedians, they have decided that it's open season on Republicans. You know, I mean, I don't know if you remember this, but, you know, you had one member of Congress who blurted out something during President Obama's State of the Union speech, which was inappropriate for him to blurt it out. But it wasn't anything, you know, that became a national story where the media shamed him. That member of Congress was actually, you know, chastised here in the House. And I think everybody understood that whether you agreed with what he said or not, that it was inappropriate. And now you have members of Congress actually encouraging people to go after Republicans, to do harm to Republicans. And the media seems to just be shrugging and to just kind of saying, well, I guess they deserve it because Trump's rhetoric is so bad. I mean, we have, you know, just a year and a half ago or 2 years ago, Michelle Obama was saying that Democrats go high when others go low. And I have not seen a party go so low as the Democratic Party over the last year and a half. They are constantly trying to get Republicans to embarrass them in public, to say things to them that are embarrassing, to get them in situations that are difficult. And I just think the entire tone of what's happening in the United States, we just need to be really, really careful about what's going on.
You know, you go back to that South Carolina Congressman, Joe Wilson, who called the president a liar at the time, and you're right, he was condemned, and they tried to really run him out of Washington, D.C. And what is the consequence or of the caustic attitude where people are attacked verbally wherever they go, whether it's Stephen Miller, whether it's Sarah Sanders, and you have elected officials saying God is on their side?
You know, I think, I don't know if you remember when I did town hall meetings, we would get into conversations in town hall meetings where some of my supporters would just really say some pretty horrendous things about the president at the time, President Obama. And I would always make sure that we focused on policies and not personalities. I would try to get the town hall meeting to say, you know what, I disagree with the president of the United States. I disagree with President Obama, but I'm not going to get into these personal attacks on the president. And I encourage my audiences to do the same. You're not seeing the same thing from the other side. In fact, what you're seeing from the other side is they're inciting their supporters to actually have these kind of attitudes and this kind of tone. And if you think about it, there's already been 2 attacks on Republicans nationwide. One, you had a gunman who went after Republicans a year ago here in Washington, D.C. Another opportunity, you had another attack on Rand Paul, if you remember. That was another liberal who wanted to attack Rand Paul because he disagreed with his policies. And you know, it's starting to feel a little bit like what I read about the 60s. You know, the 60s, all of a sudden, you started having groups that started going after each other. You had presidents who were assassinated. You had presidential candidates who were assassinated. I think we all as a nation need to really consider what's going on. And we need to tone down the rhetoric on both sides, and really just talk about the policies that we care about, the policies that we agree on or we disagree on, but do it in a respectful way.
Congressman Raul Labrador joining us. Kevin Miller here at KIDO Talk Radio. Congressman, we had a chance to speak at the Unity Rally. It was very nice of you to get behind the state Republican Party. You're always a team player. But a lot of folks would like to know, listening here, what's next for you and your thoughts on being a former member of Congress. Obviously, you love Idaho. You've always loved Idaho. and at personal cost to you. You went to Congress. Now you're coming home. Your thoughts on your future?
Well, I don't know yet what I'm going to do. You know, I've been having a lot of discussions. There's nothing concrete, and we're just looking at all our options right now. Obviously, I wasn't planning. You know, for the last 8 years, I was planning to serve the people of Idaho, and this is a sudden shift in what I'm doing. So we need to decide what we're going to do with the rest of our lives. I guess I got to decide what I'm going to do when I grow up, right?
Yes, sir. Yeah.
Yes. But I really don't know. I've just been so grateful for the people of Idaho. You know, just last night I had a supporter just send me a text and just thank me for my service and for the way that we ran our campaign. And those are always very nice notes to receive. I'm so grateful for my supporters, for the people who have been there for me, the people who followed my career for the last 8 years. I think it's unfortunate, really, the way that the race occurred. I think it's something that the party needs to decide at some point. You know, the level of vitriol and really the number of lies that were told during that campaign, it was something I had never seen in Idaho politics. And I think it's unfortunate that it happened that way. And I hope that at some point the Republican Party in Idaho, I've always thought highly of the Republican Party in Idaho. The Republican Party of Idaho needs to decide whether they're going to allow those kind of lies to persist, because we had never seen that before. But you know what? It is what it is. People made a decision, and I'm just grateful for new opportunities and new challenges in my life.
Indeed. Of course, when God closes one door, he opens another. And, you know, obviously, I'm sure you're excited. You know, if it's possible, you'll be here and, you know, spend time with your family, and not to get too personal, but you've always talked about that. And, you know, like I've said, you know, you could galvanize the state, and who knows what happens. Of course, then again, you might like just having a life outside of politics.
No, I'm looking forward to spending more time with my family. That's the only silver lining in this, is that I'm going to be able to spend more time with my family. And whatever I do, you know, there's opportunities all over, you know, here in D.C., there's opportunities in Idaho. I'm looking for the best opportunities. My preference is to do things in Idaho, but we'll see what happens. But whatever I do, it's going to be with my family, where I can sleep in my bed every night. I can be with my family, and I can spend time with them, and I'm really looking forward to that.
Well, Congressman, we appreciate you making time. We know you're very busy, and want to thank you. And I know it's not easy, but again, thank you, and we look forward to speaking to you for years to come, sir.
Hey, thank you so much. It's great to be on your show.
All right, Congressman Labrador joining us. Your thoughts next. Kevin Miller, KIDO Talk Radio. And let's go to your phone calls. We go to Liberty Linda with Kevin Miller at KIDO Talk Radio. Good morning.
Yes, good morning, Kevin. You know, we'll never forget all that Raul Labrador has done for the state of Idaho. He's a great congressman. He's done many good things. You know, he campaigned for Russ Fulcher. And, you know, he helped President Trump in Florida win. He has done terrific things. And I respect him and am thankful for all the things he's done for Idaho. He truly is a great man. But, you know, I called in to talk about Mitt Romney.
Sure.
Because I'm so happy, Kevin, that he won in Utah. My whole family in Utah were for him. They voted for him. You know, they're waiting to find out if he won or not against, you know, Mr. Kennedy. And so very happy that he did win. And he won with 75%.
Well, did anybody think it was in doubt?
Oh, yes. A lot of people, I guess, were talking about this person Kennedy, that he was a good person also. So, yeah, there was some worry here in Utah for some of the people I know in Utah. And anyway, very happy he won. He needed a win in his life. And let's hope that he and President Trump will work well together, which I think they will. And anyway, so I just wanted to say that I'm very happy that he had a win. He needed one, Kevin.
Now, I thought you were going to tell us some breaking worldwide news yesterday, and you didn't.
breaking, which news did you
I don't
want
know.
me-
You said you had a vision and you were going to tell us yesterday, and you didn't.
Well, I am a visionary person. I've had many visions, and I have had a vision of the pyramids. I know why they were built. I know what they did there. And, I have all this cooped up in me. And I want to get my first book published, and it's at the publisher, and I'm just sitting on pins and needles waiting. And so some of the knowledge that I've been given, I do want to get it out. I want to let people know about it. And so I was just frustrated the other day, and I still would like to and I thought, well, perhaps I should go ahead and tell my knowledge, what I've been given about the pyramids on your show. It'll be a first ever.
On the pyramids. Yes, you're right about that.
Well, do we know why they're built? Everybody is speculating on it. They have been. And I have had the vision. I do know what went on there, and I know why they were built. So perhaps maybe I should call in tomorrow, when I have a little bit more time to tell the whole story.
The 6 a.m. hour is always the best hour for that one, Liberty Lynn. A lot of time.
I know. Well, if you'd like me to tell the story about the pyramids, why they were built, I even know how they were built, but I don't know if I'm ready to disclose that at this time.
Well,
maybe when we're on the George Norrie show together.
Liberty Linda, thank you. You have a good day.
Thank you, Kevin. You're wonderful. We love you.
We love you. Traffic and weather together. Our time is 8:26.
News Channel 7's Eric Gabbard.
And back to your phone calls. We go to Liberal Steve at KIDO Talk Radio.
Hey, Idaho. Buenos dias. Liberty Linda, we know why the pyramids were built, so they could put it on our paper money with the all-seeing eye at the top. Come on, that's an easy one. It really upset me that you allowed Mr. Lab at your door to put out fake news, especially on the attack on Rand Paul, who followed the case right to the hilt in court, all the documents. It was all over the location of the brush pile. The 59-year-old neighbor doctor that attacked Rand Paul was totally about he wouldn't move his brush pile. And then he puts this out that it was all political, the attack? Come on, this is how stuff gets started. When you have people that are officially supposed to know something, and they just yak. That's all I had to say. Get it right, dude. And he wonders why he lost?
Well, he sounded kind of sad.
Well, I'm glad he's sad.
That's not very nice.
I don't care if it's nice or not. He didn't deserve to be governor of Idaho. Come on, he's not even a native.
Are you a native?
I'm not running for governor. You stay fired up, Miller, and you know I'm right, and the people that are listening know I'm right, so just carry on.
Will do. Tea Party Bob joins us now, KIDO Talk Radio. Good morning.
Good morning, Mr. Miller. How are you? Did you have a great time last night? Sounds like you did.
It was a wonderful time with everybody, God and Country, last night, yeah.
Not too many mosquitoes, I'm sure. You didn't get bitten up?
Nope, even though I'm a pretty big target.
The Liberals have been causing quite a bit of disruption, and I had an opportunity this past weekend to have two of them at my house, my two Liberal siblings. And it was interesting that after they were here for a bit, the only channels they would watch on TV were CBS and ABC. And when I asked them where they got their information from, they both said television. So, which answers a lot of questions. When they started in on Trump, I asked them, when has the economy been better in this country with the lowest unemployment rate in 44 years? And it was amazing how they all of a sudden shut their mouth. So when you confront the Liberals with the undisputable facts, they really don't have anything to say. And I do have to admonish you on the CBD comments that you made about the FDA approval. CBD oil, in essence, does not need approval by the FDA. nor are they the ones who are actually performing the standardization of it. It's being used in over 17 states currently with good results and has been for some time. What has happened is that Big Pharma is sticking their nose in where it doesn't belong and it's not needed just to raise the price of very cheap and clean drugs. It doesn't have THC. If you look at the drugs that the FDA has approved, like Vioxx that kills 60,000 and opioids that kill 60,000 a year, why would you want to trust the FDA to approve any of the drugs? And the facts are that 35 drugs have been pulled from the market because they have literally thousands of deaths and hundreds of thousands of injuries. And they were all FDA approved.
Right,
So
but you do have drugs that do work, that are approved, that go through a process. Your argument, if I'm correct,
everything goes through.
I'm sorry, I wasn't finished. I just took a breath. Is that okay?
Okay, take another breath.
Everything goes through a process to make sure it's safe, to make sure it's not contaminated. Look, who's to say if the way you want it, you could just concoct your own stuff like people do gin in their bathtub.
Let me tell you this. Standardization of CBD oil has been done and has been done in Israel for the last 3 years. The FDA is, again, sticking their nose in where it doesn't belong. There already is standardization. This is going to be another way for them to raise the price and to make more money for Big Pharma. And if you don't believe that, I will show you the facts. I told you I have them all.
Right. You have the facts.
Anyway, for what it's worth, I don't think they're going to make any difference except for more money for the people that really need these drugs.
What'd you make of Congressman Labrador's appearance today?
I actually wanted to ask him the question as to why he thought he lost the race.
I think he volunteered that.
Yeah, but I still believe that it was, voters that are state employed voting their wallet. And that's 70,000 of them. That was a big swing vote if you look at where the votes came from around the various counties, particularly Ada County, which has the most. And, I'm going to miss Congressman Labrador, but I am going to be happy to have Russ Fulcher in Congress. I think he's going to do a very good job.
Maybe he'll come to Idaho.
Who will come to Idaho? You mean Labrador?
Mm-hmm.
It would be nice. Maybe we see him run here again. Who knows? Maybe he'll run for Senate.
I don't know. I spelled out what he needs to do, but we'll see.
Well, you certainly told him what he should do. We'll see what happens.
Yeah. I don't think he is in the mood to listen right now. Can't say I blame him.
No.
Gotta figure out
loss. I don't think so.
Got to figure out your future.
Indeed. We all have to figure out our future. Yours is going to be God and country every night of the week.
And on that note, you have a great day, sir.
You too, my friend. Take care.
Our great friend, Tea Party Bob. You're listening to Kevin Miller, KIDO Talk Radio. Good morning, Maggie.
Good morning, Kevin.
And out to Karen Strawn joining us from AVoiceForMen.com. Karen, welcome back.
Thank you so much for having me back.
So the state of men in America, in the world today, is it over for the men?
Oh, geez. Is it over? No, but it's looking pretty grim in a lot of areas. So I did notice that one of your ads was for a family law attorney that specializes in fathers' rights to access to their children, which is wonderful.
Yes, Cordell & Cordell, they're a national firm. That's their specialty. It's strange, though, that we don't have more people targeting men, but people do sure target women.
Oh, yeah, no, it's you absolutely are 100% right. Most of marketing targets women, most of, services and things like that, whether provided by the government or by the private sector. If they're going to target anybody, they're targeting women most of the time. So, yeah, it's quite distressing, and but I'm just glad that there's a national law firm out there that specializes in helping dads make sure that they are involved in their kids' lives after divorce.
Well, and, depending on who you talk to, of course, but many people say, look, it's tough for men to get custody of their kids.
It is. It really, really is. I think, a mother really has to go out of her way to prove herself unfit in order to fully lose custody. And a man really has to present himself as not just fit, but significantly more fit than her, and prove her unfit before he's ever going to be allowed to have sole custody. And joint custody is kind of a wash. It's one of those wishy-washy terms. My ex had joint custody of my stepsons, and that essentially meant every other weekend access. So, it's really, men have a hard time. They really do in the family courts. We still have these outdated beliefs about fathers and their role as being outside the home, not hands-on caregiving, and as long as you're not washing their hair in the bathtub or braiding their, putting pigtails in and putting in that hands-on care, you're not actually contributing in a meaningful way other than maybe financially. And that a lot of research that's come out in the last 20 years shows that's absolutely not the case, that just having a dad around, no matter how involved he is hands-on in the care of the children, the actual, wiping of bums and things like that, that is actually really beneficial to kids. And it's also really beneficial to kids that parents are cooperating with each other and being a team and modeling a good relationship both during the marriage and even after divorce. That actually really, really helps kids develop and helps them avoid a lot of risks. So,
well, that's easier said than done, usually because divorce is very contentious. But if you're raising young men today, is this the most challenging time to try and nurture, to try and guide men to be men these days, boys to men?
Yeah, it really, really is. I mean, because a lot of the old sort of standards of masculinity are being sort of smeared. There's been a dedicated smear campaign against masculinity for some time. You look at a lot of the research that's being done in gender studies programs and stuff like that, and anything that's even remotely traditional about masculinity that would be traditionally considered a masculine virtue has been redefined as gender neutral. It's a human virtue, and all of the norms of masculinity that they talk about these days are all of the negative ones, or when men take things to the extreme and end up harming themselves or others. So it's really upsetting to me because, and it's not so much when you're a grown man and you're being bombarded with this barrage of negativity about who you are and how you were born. But it's, boys are getting this too. They're starting to get into programs in middle schools where they do these assemblies where, you have someone come in and talk about men who beat their wives, and then get all of the boys to stand up and take a pledge to never do that. And I think that's just absolutely atrocious.
Karen, what about the Me Too movement?
Oh, the Me Too thing, it's spawning all kinds of weird redheaded stepchildren everywhere. The Netflix thing that just kind of came down, the edict from on high there, where you can't look at a coworker for longer than 5 seconds or you're technically harassing them. And I have no idea how on the one hand, I'm happy they've put a hard, actual, quantifiable definition there, 5 seconds no longer, as opposed to some murky, ambiguous, term like staring or leering. But at the same time, how are you even going to enforce that? And it's just, I think men should just go into the workplace in sunglasses or with a bag over their head or with their eyes downcast. Don't look at your social betters, I guess, is really what that boils down to. So yeah, it's I don't know how they're going to enforce any of this stuff, but they're trying to install rules to avoid litigation, I guess.
One thing that's strange about this, whether it's Netflix or anything else, and I don't know if it's the proper term, you'll let me know, the neutering of men in general. They want to make them effeminate. They want to make them passive. You watch television shows, and the alpha is now the female, not the male. You have females actually beating up men on TV.
Yes. Yeah. And you've always had, we've always had, those scenes, the slapping scenes, back in the 1940s and 50s where, a woman would become offended. One of the big examples would be, Back to the Future in the 80s, where Marty McFly's mom slaps Biff or whatever his name was, when he tries to get fresh with her. Like, we've always shown those instances of women who have been egregiously transgressed on by a man who is trying to take liberties, and she slaps him across the face, for sure. But we have completely eliminated any kind of justifiable way of portraying a man ever hitting a woman. It's always, always, always wrong, no matter what she's doing. And the culture's really kind of informed that over the last 40 years or so, since the domestic violence movement, sort of really, really took root and took hold and got sort of a feminist ideology entrenched within it, they describe all of women's violence, all of women's striking of men, hitting of men, as responsive violence, self-defense, or they call it violent resistance. So essentially, it's instantiated in policy and law that when women hit men, it's because men deserve to be hit. So we've just completely gone to the absolute extreme.
Indeed. Karen Strong joining us at voiceformen.com. Kevin Miller in the morning, KIDO Talk Radio. So where do we go from here?
Where do we go from here? I'd really love to just try and find some middle ground where, we actually start caring about men. I mean, men are responsible for everything you're looking at in your studio, pretty much. Maybe not responsible for the color scheme, but responsible for, creating the MDF, the medium density fiberboard that forms your desk, and, and the technology that's in the microphone and all of the soundproofing and all of that. That men almost entirely did that. So, I mean, like when we look at, we flip the light switch, the lights come on, we turn the tap, the water comes out, planes aren't dropping out of the sky. Mostly men are doing those things. And if we neglect men, if we neglect them or push them away, make them withdraw, make them stop caring, essentially, or make it so that they can't afford to care about anybody but themselves, we're really, really going to lose out on a lot of the things that we take for granted every day. So I think even if you have no compassion for them, you could at least have some self-interest and say, we actually need to start treating these guys not the way we're treating them now, but maybe, actually caring about their well-being and their health and all of those things. So, yeah.
Well, Karen, we appreciate it. A voiceformen.com. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
You're listening to Kevin Miller on KIDO Talk Radio. And blessed to be a part of your day. Don't forget Glenn Beck coming up next, along with Dave Ramsey, Sean Hannity. And it's interesting that now the media is going after not only President Trump, but his supporters.
Then you, the voter, you, not Donald Trump, are standing at the border like Nazis, going, you here, you here. And I think we now have to flip it. And it's a given the evilness of Donald Trump.
If you hold down the woman while the rapist is raping her, and you didn't rape her, are you a rapist?
Tens of millions of people voted for him after he showed his cards for years.
But are you, are you suggesting that they're racist? Or
yes.
The people who vote, all the people who voted for Donald Trump are racist.
Yes.
If Republicans weren't so racist, they could encourage black people who are morally conservative to be on their side.
Those people who are supporting what he's doing here are racist, period.
It's a movement.
Let me just take a break here. Deep breath. And just an example of what we're up against, the tyranny of the left. So, first of all, the president's a racist. The president's a bad person. And then that doesn't work. So you harass people that work for the president. That doesn't work. So now people that voted for the president, and you'll probably have people losing their jobs because of this. This is not the United States of America. And these folks proudly get on these national shows that no one watches. And you say, Kevin Miller, if no one watches these shows, if they're not important, why are you airing it? Because you need to know what's being said. We all do. It's unfortunate. It's unacceptable. It's un-American.
And people that are speaking up for things, whether we're talking about civil rights movement, whatever else, those movements should be nonviolent, but they should not be non-confrontational.
And so these policies that this administration is putting forth are intentionally cruel. They are racist, and it is our job as citizens to speak out against that. Now, does that mean that we're going to be violent? No.
You know, they can speak truth to power. By the way, we've still got some time. 580-5436, 580-KIDO. What is racist about this policy? And they're talking, I guess, about the border. Where's the discrimination here? You're not a citizen. You can't come in, go home. What's racist about that? What's racist about having a travel ban that you don't want people from terrorist countries terrorizing Americans in America without a background check? You want to buy a gun? Heck, you want to get a credit card? Get a background check. Shouldn't we have the same standards as Visa, MasterCard, Discover, American Express? I like that. The next time, of course, it seems they have higher standards because they'll just deny you a credit card. I would love to say, well, that's racist. I should be able to get a credit card and run up as much credit as I can, whether I'm qualified or not.
But does that mean that Sarah Sanders can have a nice, quiet dinner with her family when she's taking our tax dollars to implement this policy? I don't think so.
Anybody who votes for and supports a racist is a racist. You are culpable, white America. I'm sorry.
Is it complicit or either you're enabling?
You know.
But you guys were involved with Being Patriotic, right?
Very, very patriotic, but not.
Being Patriotic was the group that contacted and helped organize some of these activities that you posted on your own Facebook account.
Those were legitimate.
Those were Russians.
They were not Russians. I don't go with the Russians.
Laid out very clearly what his interests are.
President Walker, how do you resist the temptation to run up and wring her neck? Why?
You heard that? That was from Nicole Wallace, who worked in the Bush White House. And one thing I learned last night, and I learned it so much from you, is the power of prayer. We should pray for the libs. We should pray for Nicole Wallace and meathead Rob Reiner, because obviously something is lacking in their lives. Civility, empathy, whatever it takes. To me, again, a bunch of sore losers. Sore losers. And they're going to do, by any means necessary, what the president said, look, be careful what you wish for, Maxine.
25% of the country, whether it's 25, 20, 30%, are hardcore racist. They do not want to see brown people coming into America. That's just what's going on here. I mean,
of certain individuals and institutions, we will, as per Chief Jim Hopper, punch some people in the face when they seek to destroy the meat of the disenfranchised and the marginalized. And we will do it all with soul, with heart, and with
out there still. I'm sorry, that was from the Tonys. It looks like the Freak Brigade. And look, it's not like I'm Mr. Cosmetically Appealing, but man, it's like they got some of the characters from the Star Wars bar scene. Quickly to traffic and weather together.
It's Eric Gabbard.
And there we have it. So much for public service in the media. Holly and Caldwell, you'll bring us home on KIDO Talk Radio. Good morning, please.
Hi. You know, I am just concerned about the public's ability to critically think and using just portions of information that they get from the mainstream media only. It's really dangerous because they believe this stuff. And I think it's time for good people to really start getting out our message that that's not what it is. And it's time for people to start teaching their kids how our government really works, that it's not throw a fit mob rule, that we have a constitution, and we need to get our state legislatures to support her.
And we've got to defend it. God bless everybody. Have a great day.